What's up, baseball world? Welcome along to another edition of Jay's Talk with Jay. As you can tell by my tone, I am pissed off. I don't swear often, and I will probably beep that out afterwards, but I have to say I can't take much more of this shit. It's bad. It's bad on a numerous amount of levels. However, we're going to be realistic, and we're going to try and throw all of the facts on the table. We are going to address what happened last night. Yes, we lost to the Yankees. No, I don't think we should have lost. And the MLB umpires are all Stevie Wonder in disguise. I am joined by Blue Jay Center, head honcho Rob, along with our Kings of Trivia champ, Sheldon. Boys, how you doing? Please don't say you're good, because I think you'll be lying.
Oh, I'm not good at all, Jay. That intro that you gave us is perfect encapsulation of how we're feeling. Everyone's depressed. The sky's falling down. I said on the live stream, everything sucks, man. And I agree. I can't take any more of this shit either.
I think you both summed it up. And I also got the vaccine, so I'm like half groggy. So I did kind of fall asleep during that Glidey Guerrero slide. So I've been trying to catch it on replays. But no.
You don't have to sugarcoat it, man. You were cheering. You're wearing your Yankee cap. You were sitting in your living room. Come on, man. Let's be honest.
Well, look, I got Garrett Cole in my pool, so yeah, whatever he did was good for me. After that, I think everybody knows what I think.
Okay, let's address the big issue. I think there's two big issues. One is what happened last night. I think two is the overall fact that the Jays are now just sitting at an even 500, which is probably something we didn't envisage, probably going back to the weekend. Obviously, another game to play tonight in a couple of hours. It's not looking good, and it's not looking good. I don't think it's an offense thing. Look, you're not going to go and score 10, 12, 15, 18 runs against the Garrett Cole. It's not going to happen. And I thought that we hit when we were meant to hit. We get two men on base, no outs in the ninth. It's a game we can still win against an ace closer like Chapman. I think that if the umpire calls go our way, we at least take that to extra innings.
Yeah, I think in a vacuum, overall, you lose one game to a team that for 8 innings had Garrett Cole, and for the 9th inning had Aroldis Chapman. So you're not going to score a lot of runs. That much is obvious. I think, to me, the frustration comes from, one, the accumulation of losses, because this is not the first heartbreaker that we've had. It seems that almost every other day we're losing a game that we can all agree we should have won. But also the fact that you got runners on third and second with nobody out. All you got to do is find a nice poke in the outfield. You win that game. All you need is CB Buckner to make the right call, and the right call twice, really, because you talk about the Vladdy play at third base that was called out in the field that I initially thought he might have been out, but on the replay, when you kind of freeze frame it, appears he might have gotten that hand in there. And also the non-foul tip off the bat of Lourdes Gurriel Jr., which costed them again. So I think the frustration is mounting from these accumulated losses and the fact that they just find new ways to lose in heartbreaking fashion. It's tough to watch right now.
I got nothing. I mean, honestly, they should be They should be on a 6-game winning streak. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna hate it. The bullpen failed. Actually, let me retract that. The bullpen has been struggling. Nobody expected Edwards to go out there and, get injured the way he did. Dolis as well. So, I mean, the bullpen is hurting. They don't have any quality arms in there right now. And that's not a slight against the guys they have. They shouldn't be there at the moment.
So you're saying that Patrick Murphy's not our savior then?
I'm saying that Patrick Murphy is not our savior. I bet, you know what, maybe, who knows? Like anything is possible, right? But I've been critical of Charlie, but these last 6 games, man, like I don't know I wouldn't know what to do. I mean, I put a guy out there and he gets hurt. Like you can't foresee that. and it's struggling. I think we caught the interview that he had where he dropped the F-bomb. It is frustrating for him, no doubt. But also to a degree, Charlie needs to take some of this blame too. He's not totally absolved from it. He does need to take some of it, but at the same time, he does have his hands tied. The reinforcements that are coming aren't really helping out right at the moment. I mean, is Nate Pearson our savior? I don't know. And the game last night, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, how New York make certain calls, and it's clear to everybody that it should have been the other way, and they stick to it, and they say it's this call, and this is what they're going with. My opinion on Major League Baseball and their management system is one thing. So
yeah, that's a whole episode on its own, really, isn't it? I think we've discussed that before. Do the umpires lose integrity because it was the Yankees? And I'm not saying that MLB because it goes to New York and it's against the Yankees. No, do you know what? I am saying that. Like, is it because it's the Yankees that both of them decisions went against us?
No, I think the reason why both decisions went against us is, I don't know if could be a very unpopular take, but I'm going to go with instant reaction from both players in that situation. And one, the Vladdy Guerrero play at third where he gets tagged out and it looked like he may have been safe. I think the reaction really gave it away. You look at him just after the play ended, his head's down, he's like smacking the ground. Like, to me, when I saw that, I'm like, okay, so he's out because there's no reason to watch it.
Yeah, but hang on, let me just stop you there because I actually thought he smacked the ground because he was pissed off because he got called out.
Usually in that situation, when that would happen, the guy would point to the dugout. He would just go all kinds of crazy. To me, like the reaction that I got seemed that he thought he was out.
I reckon I think I'm better at reading people than you are.
I'm gonna go with Rob on this one, not because he's the Blue Jays center guy.
Whatever.
Listen, you keep on sitting in front of that green screen and just listen to some hot chop here, man.
There's no green screen here.
We have seen Vladdy when he thinks he's safe react the way he reacts, and he immediately starts pointing to the dugout. From what I saw in the highlights, he thought the way his reaction kind of told me that he got nailed at third, that he was out.
I have my take on it. Just let me start. Before you continue, I have my take on it. My take is that the umpire was eager to call him out. And I think that was part of the problem. If you watch the umpire, it makes the scenario a little bit different. Now, you can't watch it while we're on now. Mm-hmm. And I wish I had the ability to bring it up on screen to do that. But every time I do, I get a strike against my account. So I'm staying away from it. Maybe I'll draw something again like I did before. But if you watch it, if you go back and watch it and you see, it's like he's ready to call it out straight away. And I think that's part of the problem. And because they go with the umpire's decision, if they don't think, again, we've gone back to it, you can see clear daylight when his hand is on the bag. And that for me is where I'm struggling, because I just feel that, I will say, I think that Vladdy will come out tonight and he's going to probably hit 3 home runs because he is pissed.
Yeah, he gets that motivation. It's we've seen him get motivated after a tough loss. So hopefully it's good. Hopefully he does come out and just does what he does. But I'm going to give you guys a very unpopular opinion on it, on what we were seeing last night. If you take a look at Garrett Cole, and he threw 2 pitches to Kevin Biggio, I think it was in his first at bat, and it looked like it got the strike zone. It looked like, you could even say, okay, well, maybe it's 50-50, but
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the ones that were outside.
Yeah, and Cole's reaction was that was a strike, and he didn't really make a demonstrative reaction, but it was like you could have seen the body language
because he turned around. Yeah.
Now, we know for a fact that umpires will try and do a makeup call somewhere later in the game. Now, I know Rob's kind of shaking his head. I'm not sure, but
they left it 7 innings.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, look, the way baseball is right now, and how baseball is being targeted with everything that's been going on with the cheating scandal, spider attack, you name it. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if the umpires gave that one to the Yankees. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised anymore with some of the calls that goes on. I wouldn't be surprised if someone turned around and told me that baseball players are taking a new type of HGH that can't be detected. I'm not surprised anymore by anything that goes on in baseball. And I know we're kind of going off topic, but I would blame baseball management for that. I would blame the top tier commissioner all the way down. So that's my unpopular take on it. I know, it's going to cause some discussion, but last night was, I think, the way we're all reacting to it right now. This is frustrating. This is frustrating for the fans. We know for a fact that we should be like 6-0. We know for a fact that we should have won all the games in Boston, and we should have beaten New York twice. And the fact that they're not doing it, and of course, a lot of people are pointing the finger at Charlie, pointing the finger at the bullpen, pointing the finger at Panic, pointing the finger at Strickland for pointing the finger at Panic, and the whole thing.
Everything's kind of getting
everything has come to a head right now, and every little thing is going to get blown incredibly out of proportion. It's tough to watch these guys lose the way they're losing, but we do know that somewhere later on in the season, they're going to start playing games where they're either winning these type of games or they're just absolutely blowing away teams. And we may not even remember what happened here with the New York Yankees. Unless
Sheldon, let me just interrupt you there. It's like,
no, you cannot interrupt me.
The source of this problem right now, is easily the bullpen. And you want to say, well, when you lose one-run games, it's kind of bad luck. You win some, you lose some. But it seems that if this is going to be your bullpen moving forward, you're going to lose a lot more of these games than you're going to win, because no matter who we're going to face from now on, it seems that our bullpen
that's true.
Is always the worst one of the two.
I'm gonna steal a Jay thing here and say that this team, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jays make a move to get a couple of bullpen arms. Unless they're thinking Hatch and Pearson are going to help them. I don't know what their mentality is, but Shapiro and Atkins, for everything that we criticize them for and everything we praise them for, I'm pretty sure they have a pulse on what's going on here in Toronto with the fans and the reaction. And if it's true that they're coming back to Toronto to play, I think they want to do something, and it doesn't have to be a major move. I think we're all thinking major moves. I don't think it has to be a major move. It could be two dependable arms. Michael Givens from Colorado, a dependable arm. I even went so far as to say Kyle Freeland from Colorado, a left-handed arm. He's gotten a few. I think he's got 7 games in. He's got a 9 ERA. He might be attainable. Could those two guys help the bullpen? Possibly. Then you got to factor in how is Charlie going to use them. That's another thing we got to look at. But for the Jays to be where they are at 33 and 33, I think they are right now. They're 500. Yeah. Yes, they could have been 40 and something. They could have been right behind Tampa.
27.
40. Oh, thank you.
Good math.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty good. Yeah, I know. He should be on Kings of Trivia too. You and I have spoken about it a few times. They're just one hot streak away from getting to the top of the standings, and they haven't really had a hot streak.
But it's going to be some kind of hot streak now. They're like 8.5 games or something behind.
Well,
I said 10 was the magic number. If it gets to 10, we're in trouble.
Well, I think we got Baltimore, Miami, Baltimore and Seattle. That's 11 games, if I'm not mistaken. The Jays can easily post a 9-2 record. Easily.
Can they though?
Well,
with this bullpen, I mean, don't forget too. It's like we're assuming that we play these teams and it's going to be a 10-0 game in the 6th inning. We don't have to worry about.
I think they could. I think their offense. I mean, let's be honest; those pitching staffs are not that good.
No, they're not.
So I think the offense will carry them to. I'm predicting a 9-2 record. I hope I'm right. I really hope I'm right. And that will be more than enough to kind of catapult them back into.
Your predictions have been terrible recently. So.
Yeah, I know they've been off. They've been way off. Oh, actually, no, I was right about Stripling, man. I said Stripling was going to go.
That's true.
Yeah, see,
you haven't given credit for that one.
Yeah, everybody else was against Stripling when I said no, Stripling's going to pitch well, and he did pitch well rather than the Sanchez.
He's been good since then. To be fair, he's kind of really turned the corner.
Yeah, but like I said, it's frustrating for all of us.
When Sheldon, your predictions are like, oh, I'm playing the math. Like this one's got to be right. This one's got to be right. You know, keep being wrong. It's only right that this next one's going to be accurate.
92 record. That's what I'm predicting.
Just quickly, I know that you say that you think. I have come to the conclusion, regardless of whether they come back to Toronto, because I think they're going to weigh up whether coming back to Toronto with no fans is better than staying in Buffalo with fans. I think that's what they have to weigh up. But I think that regardless of either scenario, wherever they end up playing, I think they're going to pull the trigger, and I think it's going to be probably next week.
A trade?
Yeah, I think something's going to happen within the next week. I'll tell you why. I don't think they want to put Hatch and Pearson, because think about it. If they put Hatch and Pearson in the bullpen and somebody else goes down injured, which is let's face it, it's likely, right? It's likely someone else could go down at any point, because I'm surprised Charlie hasn't gone on the IL. Like he walked out to the umpires yesterday. He could have pulled a hamstring or anything. Like that's the way our luck's kind of gone this year. Something tells me that it's right what you say. I think that Atkins and Shapiro have probably seen what the reaction's been. They've probably been looking already, leave it to the last few days. They're probably at a point now where they probably think we're going to lose the fans here if we don't do something quickly. And that's how I would be looking at it. If I was, it happens with the football over here. The crowd have a big say in what happens, and the baseball community in Canada is one team.
Yeah,
they kind of have to keep everyone on side, because what they don't want to do is end up with a team that's hitting 400 ball. What happens when they do start getting fans back? No one's going to want to go.
Yeah, I think to me, if you don't make a move and you decide to wait until the deadline for the price to go down, to me that's almost punting the season, because you've lost so many games in this meat grinder schedule the last 2 weeks or so, where you're not only 8.5 back of the AL East, you're 5.5 back of the wild card. So slowly but surely, all your avenues of making the playoffs are kind of in free fall right now. And I think to go with this same bullpen right now for another 6 weeks until the deadline, to me, you're guaranteeing yourself at least one loss that you should not be losing a week. And eventually those are going to pile.
You're out of it.
Exactly. That's what I mean. To me, it's like if you don't make a trade as soon as possible, you're punting the year. That's how I see it.
Just quickly as well, you just said something about like leaving it to the last minute. I think things have changed. I think the longer you leave it, the higher the price goes up. I think that's going to happen now. I don't think it goes the other way, because if you don't want to trade, you don't trade. Like, you've got to give me what I want for the player that you want.
Well, if I was Colorado and the Jays called me and said we would like Michael Givens and Kyle Freeland, those are the two names I'm going with right at the moment.
Yeah.
Or you can even say John Gray and German Marquez. If you want to say those two names too, I would be looking and saying, okay, you know what? I really need a third baseman, a young third baseman. I want Jordan Groshans, and I want somebody else, and I want somebody else. And if the Jays say nope, okay. But deep down, it's, if Colorado if they're, it depends on what they want. Obviously, they need a third baseman. They may not get another one from another team that's looking for those 4 pitchers. So they may have to turn around and go back to the Jays and say, okay, well, give us Jordan Groshans and a low prospect or something. Like, they may give in. Like, I know what you're saying, Jay, but usually, historically, if you wait to the deadline, some teams it depends on what they want. It's a 50-50
I
crapshoot.
guess it depends how bad the desperation is as well, right? Like,
yeah, but there's always going to be demand for relief pitching. There's always going to be leverage for those teams. They know that teams are going to be calling up asking for relief pitching at the deadline. So their ideology is that if we don't get a premium package right now, there's no point in rushing to make a deal when we're going to get a bunch of suitors in the next coming weeks.
that's what I mean, and that's what I'm trying to say. The price kind of goes up if you look at what's happening at the moment. Like, I just saw that the Yankees did a deal with Tampa Bay.
Like, yeah, they traded a Ford for
me. That makes no sense whatsoever. Like, why are Tampa Bay and the Yankees trading with each other in the first place?
Well, it made sense for New York because they needed to put Britain on the 40-man roster, so that made sense for the Yankees. Tampa Bay Rays, on the other hand, we've seen them take chances on players that nobody wants. Ji-Man Choi being one of the names, and they become very, very integral parts of their team. So, is Ford a waste of time? Well, we'll see what he does in Tampa. If he turns it around and puts up numbers that are comparable to what Ji-Man Choi does, then everyone's going to be rolling their eyes saying, well, Tampa...
It's possible, right? It's Tampa Bay. They can normally turn shit into gold. So,
the amount of language that this man has been spewing lately on this show. At the beginning.
Don't worry, I will beat everything out, but I'm just done. Like the whole thing for me over the last week or so has drained me. I'm sitting here and I'm watching these games, whether it be I'm trying to watch them at like 2:00 in the morning, or I'm watching again like the highlights in the morning, and I'm just looking at it, and it's you know what? It's not even frustration. I'm not even frustrated now. I'm at that point where I'm just like, do something, just do something. Either bring up some young guys, or make a trade. There's no point stockpiling all of these youngsters that are. Some of them are not going to get in the team. If you're playing shortstop, or you're playing second base, or you're playing first base, we don't need you. It's a reality, though, right? Yeah. So,
but just remember, the Jays are not in the driver's seat in trade talks. The Jays are not in the driver's seat. Everybody knows they need something.
Yeah.
They need pitching. So that's what I'm saying. If I was a team like Colorado, I would try and drain as much as I can out of the Jays before I make a trade. Yeah. Or I would make it publicly known that, hey, the Jays and Rockies are talking. Well, maybe the Yankees want to come in and trade Florial and Torres and something to get maybe Story and another pitcher. So
something tells me that Odor is packaged somewhere.
No, Odor. They will eat Odor's contract if they have to. I think they're just using him because they have him. But if something better comes along, he's probably the first person to go.
There's no doubt that if the Jays are going to get a proven pitcher, proven big league late inning reliever right now, they're going to have to pay a premium price. That's just how it goes. Now, what they could do, an idea is you can go after one of these reclamation projects, guys who have proven success of being a big league reliever not too far down the road in the past, but of having a struggling year this year. And the first name that you kind of reminds you of is Carl Edwards Jr. That's exactly what they tried to do this year, and we saw right away why anyone could have had him. He was struggling early on. So,
but the bullpen can't be made up of all of these guys, though. Surely there needs to be some kind of reliable arm in there somewhere.
But yeah, unfortunately, right now those guys are going to come at a premium price. That's the whole argument. But do you pay that price? Is it worth it? I'm starting to think that it could be, because if you want to salvage the season, I'm not sure that there's another way.
How many games in the last 2 weeks has the bullpen blown?
Well, at least five. Like, just off the top of my head, I can think 5. They blew in the last 2. Well, yeah, the last 2.
Okay, so we'll go with 4. We'll go with 4 in the last 6 because the 2 games in Boston and these 2 games with the Yankees.
Okay, so that's just this week. That's just this week. Today's Thursday.
Yeah.
We haven't even played today.
Yeah.
Like that. Like it's crazy. So I'm guessing that we're all agreed that it's relief pitching that is the main concern. Like someone said on Blue Jay Center last night, like third base. Forget third base. I'm not bothered about third base because 1 to 6, 1 to 7s is batting. So who cares, right? So for me, starting pitching, since they've changed it, Stripling's come back in and Manoa's in, I'm quite happy to roll with that, especially knowing that Hatch and Pearson could possibly bail us out if we do have a problem. It's relief pitching. So let's just hope that they do pull the trigger and we get 1 or 2. I think you're right. I think it's at least 2 guys.
Yeah.
You're looking at 8 and 9. I'd be quite happy for Romano to come in 7 and then someone else 8 and 9.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there are other needs on this team. I think they will get another starter at the deadline. I think that the Stripling, Manoa, that's kind of a bridge to get to the deadline, which is fine. But I'm not sure that those guys are going to be in the rotation all year. At least one of them won't, in my opinion. So I think they will get one other guy. I think they might get a third baseman as well. But I agree. I think those needs can wait. Right now, you need a relief pitcher or 2 as soon as possible. So no doubt that I think those needs, you can push those off a little longer until the deadline. But right now, a reliable reliever who can throw strikes, shout out to Chatwood, needs to come through that door as soon as possible.
Let's take a look at what Tampa did earlier in the season when they made that trade for the Adamas for 2 bullpen guys.
But they gave up an everyday player too. That's a premium package. So
yeah, but they also had someone step in. Was it Taylor Walls? I think his name is the shortstop.
Yeah,
the youngster. Yeah.
So if the Jays, I mean, one of my friends was talking about this, and they're saying, well, we could do this, we could do that, we could do the next. I think Kevin Biggio's name was someone he had mentioned. Maybe Randall Grichuk, but honestly, it's difficult, man, because the Jays, they're like Rob was saying, it's going to be a premium that they're going to have to pay to get something back. And if you're giving up something that's a premium, and you could say Randall Grichuk, you could say Kevin Biggio, it may even take Teoscar Hernandez or Lourdes Gurriel. And do we really want to trade those 2 guys?
No.
I don't think Teoscar's going anywhere. Gurriel,
if the package is enticing enough, I could see one of them go. If it's something where you can say, okay, I'm getting a starter for this year or next year, like Castillo, Luis Castillo. Let's say if it was him, and they said, well, we want Lourdes Gurriel. Well,
see ya.
Yeah, see it. Rob's already on. See it. Then that makes, you could say that makes sense, right? It's just, you got to think that if they're going to trade a premium away, they got to have something to replace it. They're going to have to judge. They're going to have to judge that. We can sit here and point names and figure things out, but it's I think Rob and I both said it best. We were wanting to wake up the next morning hoping that there was something happening on Twitter, and nothing happened other than maybe Patrick Murphy.
I think the one that they may try is going to be Grichuk. I think that over the last 2 weeks, his numbers have dropped. His output is nowhere near like it was the first 6 weeks. And with Springer, he's probably days. I think we see Springer tomorrow. Possibly tomorrow.
Possible.
I think this whole extended stint down in the minors, I don't see it happening. I think he comes back tomorrow. Maybe DH, maybe centre field, but I think he comes back tomorrow.
The Baltimore series?
That's my call.
Typically, on a rehab assignment, if it takes more than 3 or 4 days games, then that would usually indicate that he's not 100%. Which to me, like when I hear a guy going on rehab, like I think he's 100%. Like I assume he's 100%, and then he's just getting in game action to get ready for big league games. But I don't think a guy who's in a rehab assignment should have any, should be as close to 100% as possible. So that's what I assumed when he got moved to the rehab assignment. So yeah, I'm expecting him back any day now, hopefully as soon as tomorrow.
I hope he comes back soon, but I think it's the stamina in center field, because I think he only played 5 innings the night before. I'm not sure how many innings he played last night. I think building yourself up to play 9 innings and then to see how your body reacts the next day. So I'm thinking, I'm hoping Baltimore, but I'm thinking Miami.
But it's likely he comes back against Baltimore. He can play centre field one day, DH the next. I think they need, to me, again, it's an outsider's point of view, but I think that judging by everything that's happened this last week, tough against Boston because we should have come away with a
Sweep.
series. Yeah, a series win at least. I think it should have been a sweep. And then obviously what's happened with the Yankees yesterday and the day before, I think that it could be this little bit of a spark that the team maybe need. And I think that he's also good being around the younger guys. I think he's a bit of an influence, and he seems like he's gelled pretty well with the guys when you see them all kind of chatting and hanging out together in the dugout. I think they need him in and around them players at the moment. He's got the winning mentality, and you can't buy that.
I agree, but he has been in the dugout. So
yeah, but up until.
But you mean on the field? But you mean playing on the field?
Both, but like obviously the last 2 days he's been on a rehab assignment, so he's not actually been there. And I just wonder whether like his influence in and around the players, like him just being there, actually helps. Obviously he's been there and we've lost a lot of games, but I just think that there's something about it. Look, if you're going to pick 2 players, Randall Grichuk or George Springer, I want George Springer in the team, whether he's DH or centre fielder. It's not even a debate.
Yeah, well, he's got to be healthy first to get there, and that's kind of what the rehab is all about. I know that he's great in the dugout, but I think the players would much more rather have him on the field and contributing like he did for that short sample that we saw at the end of April.
If he can play 2 games on a rehab assignment, he's ready to play as far as I can see.
Yeah, I agree. That I'm totally with that.
All right, so enough George Springer talk for now, because let's face it, it's a case of believe it when we see it. It's been so long now, it's like it's kind of pointless talking about. I kind of get on a tangent when it comes to him, because I'm like, we're just paying him so much money and we just haven't seen him. And that's frustrating. That I can be frustrated about. Obviously, I've touched on the umpires, and I was going to go into it in depth, but I just don't see the point. And the more we talk about Major League Baseball as a product and the umpiring and how it's run, me and Rob might as well just leave and let Sheldon go on for the next 40 minutes just ranting about how badly it's run. And I just don't see the point in actually doing that, because it doesn't matter what any of us say, really. They're going to do what they want to do because it's their thing, right? The other big thing that I want to touch on is the whole cheating scandal that seems to be not flying under the radar, but it's not really being made a big deal. And I think that we were talking about this off air. I think that eventually this is going to kind of blow up to something very, very similar to the steroid scandal many, many years ago, probably before Rob was born. But I just want to see.
Throw probably in there. Oh, I appreciate that.
I want to get your guys' opinion on it, because I've been reading these stories, and like people, like, bearing in mind I'm just a nobody on Instagram, but yet people have been like firing me these stories, and I'm looking at them and I'm like, what's going on here? First of all, is using a substance cheating? Bearing in mind
if
it
it's
looks
legal.
like no, but hang on, hear me out. Is using a substance cheating if everybody's doing it? We're talking in reality here. Like, me personally, if they're all doing it, and it's not like they're putting this substance on and they throw 80 miles an hour, but they put something on their fingers and they're now throwing it at 150 miles an hour. That's not the case, right? It's literally, it's turning the ball, it's grip, but it's not, you still have to have the ability to do it. You pump yourself with steroids, all of a sudden you can hit the ball to third base, and then you take the steroids and then you're hitting it into the car park. That for me, there's a huge difference there.
Yeah, but also you could say the same thing about the Astros cheating scandal as well, because they, you can make the argument that you look at those guys. There's a ton of good hitters in that lineup. They didn't need to cheat
But
to
that's
win,
going to be my.
but they still do it.
But that's going to be my. That's going to be my next point. So the using a substance to pitch the ball, bearing in mind they're all doing it, is that cheating? That's one point. The second point is that one of the articles that was sent to me was about cameras being set up on pitchers' gloves and stuff like that. Now, first of all, is that against the rules? Because I don't know. And second of all, should you be doing that anyway? Like are we at a point now where teams have to set up cameras to try and get an advantage? Because that for me isn't sport. Like I don't want to be watching. I don't want to be watching a sport where you've got these teams like the article I read was the Yankees, obviously the Astros. Everyone knows about the trash can scenario, but it looks like it might actually go deeper than that. I can't remember who. There was another team on there as well.
Kansas City was one of them. Kansas City in 2015.
That's right. When they won the World Series, right?
Yeah.
So, like, where are we as a sport at the moment? Because for me, something's not quite right. And if you're going to come out and out this, I wish these people that are writing these articles would come out and out it and just say it and blow it up so that it gets to the bottom with it's dealt with. Bearing in mind, the Astros didn't really get punished for this whole trash can thing, yet now they're talking about 10 game suspension or something.
10-game suspension with pay for a pitcher who uses an illegal substance.
Yeah.
So back to your original question, if everyone's doing it is cheating. Well, it's almost like saying, during the steroid era, most of the players were taking something. And I would say I shouldn't say most, maybe about 40% of the players were taking something. And you could see it in their numbers. Now, it doesn't make you square a ball up, with a round bat and a round ball. It doesn't allow you to do that any better. But it does allow you to hit the ball a little bit further, and that's due to the fact that you can work out and be a little bit stronger. So with that ideology in mind, the pine tar or whatever they're using, spider tack, sticky tape, thumbtack, whatever. To my understanding, it's actually increasing the revolutions or the spin rate on the balls. And if that's the case, then if everybody's using it and everyone's doing it, it's just like the steroid scandal all over again. It's just that in a different form. So all this needs to be taken care of. And all I'm going to say is this is at the commissioner's feet. You cannot turn and tell me in this day and age, with all the cameras, with all the reporting, with all the social media, that you could turn and say you didn't know, or you weren't really sure what was going on, or you were unclear of what was going on. You have the ability to do these investigations. Do your investigations. And I think part of the reason why I'm blaming the commissioner's office is he is elected and hired by the owners. So if the owners, by and large, are allowing it to happen, because you have a commissioner who's allowing it to happen, and you'll have the few owners who will kick against it, there's got to be something that needs to be done. And does it go beyond Major League Baseball? Does this go into the U.S. Senate, where they've been years, decade after decade, they've been challenging the antitrust laws for baseball? Does that do something? I don't know. I really don't.
Rob, before you give us your input on this, I understand, Sheldon, I understand what you're saying. However, the issue that I have with this whole thing was mainly the two people, and I'll say their names. I have no issue. It's not like they're going to come after me. Like, they can't even get out of the country at the moment, so I'm not worried about that. But Tyler Glasnow and Gerrit Cole have both said the same thing, that they don't understand why this is being made a big deal, but they don't want to see people getting hurt. Can anyone explain what that means? Like, how someone gets hurt if you're not using a substance on your hand? Because I'm confused and I don't understand it.
So what I think is this is kind of an extension of the Tyler Glasnow injury that we saw a few days ago, about how the league has gotten so used to these foreign substances and using spider tack, where the fact that they're just now getting these pitchers to stop using it, like banning it essentially, was what led to Tyler Glasnow's injury. He's blaming it on that because when you're not using spider tack, the grip of baseball, I don't have one to show you, but when you're actually holding it, you actually have to hold it without sticking it to your fingers, the bones in your muscle become more expanded and it's more exposed to injury. I think that's the point that he was getting at. And the
So
fact that
has he got a hand injury then?
yeah, the forearm injury.
Yeah.
Yep. He's blaming it on the new rules.
But this is the forearm.
Mhm.
I understand, but it's like the extension, like the bones in your hand. It's what like connects you to your forearm. And he
Sounds
says
like
that
sounds like crap to me. Carry on.
I thought the same thing. I think that's where he's coming from. I don't agree with it
Because this is the same
look,
guy. This is the same guy that accused us of cheating, right?
Well, I mean,
he can't be hit. There's no way. There's no way in the world these guys can hit me the way they did. Something's not right.
Yeah,
But
no,
then,
it is
then he
definitely
says,
hypocritical.
but then he says he doesn't want people to get hurt because he's not putting this stuff on his hands anymore. I don't know. The words pot kettle kind of come to mind. You can see where I'm going with this. And it's not a direct dig at him because Garrett Cole kind of said something very similar.
Well, Garrett Cole didn't even actually say anything. He just kind of danced around the issue. And again, you have two of your brightest stars in the pitching department saying stuff that kind of gets people scratching their heads, and really, it's like the steroid era all over again, where people are denying it or people are trying to dance around the subject. Garrett pitched well without any type of additional help. I mean, the guy naturally throws 100 miles per hour, so he doesn't need anything. But again, it goes back to the spin rate, and we've seen it. And Rob's a little too young, probably. I'm not trying to say he doesn't know, but he's a little too young. When we were growing up, those type of things weren't talked about. We just said this guy's got a great curveball, and if you see it, you see it. And now when you're going with spin rate and revolutions and all that stuff nowadays, but you take a look at some of the breaks on some of these pitches, and it's literally like a video game pitch, man. It is unbelievable. Blake Trennan's turbo sinker, man. That you see that thing. I mean, 20 years ago, a sinker never did that. So yeah, whatever they're using is helping get more additional movement on the ball. And we can see it in the strikeout numbers. Look at the stats. Strikeout numbers are through the roof.
Just quickly, do we think it's the reason that Tyler Chatwood is now terrible?
It's
timing's very good though, right?
I'm gonna let Rob take this one.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go into the whole correlation equals causation, but it's a convenient timing. The fact that a guy who is notorious for throwing a ton of balls and walking guys his whole career and was lights out at the start of the year, who now can't throw a ball over the plate for a strike, it's definitely convenient. I'll just say I'm not gonna accuse him of being that's the only reason why he was good early on in the year. But if someone told me that Tyler Chatwood was using spider tack and he's not anymore, I would not be surprised in the slightest. That's all I'm going to say about that.
What's the answer here? Because this, I think this is the start of something. Like you say, I think this is going to blow up at some point. What's the answer here? Because if the players are saying that they're going to get injured, Major League Baseball is saying you can't do it. Something's got to give somewhere, right? So what's going to happen?
Trevor Bauer asked. Oh, go ahead.
I said my overall take on this whole cheating is I'm all for sign stealing and getting a competitive advantage over your opponents, but not beyond one.
Regardless of how you get the signs, though.
No. I'm leading there. I'm saying beyond one's own retention period. I don't agree. Using technology, using devices, using extra substances to cheat. I'm not for that. Like that's not how the game should be played. I'm saying you can steal signs within your retention period, like within your retention ability as a human being. You can remember their signs and kind of portray them however way you want. I'm for that. But if you're using technology or foreign substances, then at that point it's just, what are we talking about here? Like you said, it's not, the
integrity of the sport. The integrity of the sport goes out the window, and then it doesn't become a sport anymore, as far as I'm concerned.
And here's the thing too that you also got to remember: it's not so much the integrity of an individual player, but like, let's be honest, Major League Baseball and professional sports in general, they're a league that you have a job based on a meritocracy. If you're good enough, you're going to play. And if everyone around you is cheating, then aren't you kind of forced to cheat as well, because you're well below the ability to keep up with these performances. So you think, well, if they're getting an advantage on me, why shouldn't I counter by doing the same thing? So I think it goes beyond the integrity of the players. It's just eventually they may be forced to do it because you have no other choices. A replacement level player who's making $500K and he's a few bad games away from being on the waiver wire, why wouldn't he go out and do something like that?
Come on, Sheldon.
Oh, I just left you guys stunned at that point.
Wow. I was Rob used so many big words there. I need to go get a dictionary. I think what they got to do, first of all, they got to try and cook their own front office, man. I mean, that's a total disaster. That's number one. But number two, if the pitchers are really adamant that they need something, if they really do need something, and I get it, if it's cold weather, they want a little bit of extra grip. I get that. Trevor Bauer's already openly said, what about sweat and rosin? Is that something illegal? And I don't think it's illegal. I mean, if you have a rosin bag at the mound, that's not illegal as far as I'm concerned. Buck Showalter and we talked about it. Universal pine tar rag, put it in the back there behind the mound. Both pitchers can use it, or in the COVID era, put two of them there. And that's it. They can go to it. They can do what they need to do with it, and they could go from there. And just make that's the only thing you can use. Anything else, that's a banned substance. But I agree with Rob, man. If you're sign stealing has always been a part of the game, but it's been done at the field level. It's never been done from the stands or in a front office or in a dark room or on a garbage can or anything that, any of those things. It's always been done at the field level. And that's where you get the catchers, making adjustments, pitchers making adjustments, base runners making adjustments. I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with everything else. I'm pretty much like with Rob.
See, to me, like considering how much money is involved in the sport, they're not very clever. Because just sitting here now, I've devised an idea that no one's thought about. Like with technology, like you said, it has to be at the field level. Imagine if they got if you're on the pitch, you're the batting side, but you want to know what the pitcher's pitching. Just fly a drone down, a real small drone, just with a camera to see what his glove's doing. Nobody would ever see it, and there you go. Like drones is the way forward. You want to cheat? Use a drone. Or if you're the pitching side and you're up against like a Vladdy, you just build these little like small flies, like electronic, like you see on the movies, and just fly them in there. So when he's trying to bat, this little fly is going in front of his face. Problem solved.
So now we're gone from
Terminator
trying to
style.
get rid of it. We're trying to clean the game up, and Jay wants to bring in G.I. Joe Resolution.
Yeah, like I just
all these little firefly flies and stuff like that.
Just these little ideas come into my head.
I have an idea. I have a solution. I think it could be a viable solution. You know how the NFL has, helmets that, you can have microphones in the helmet. You can hear what the coach is calling, what the offensive coordinator is calling. Why don't, baseball try to implement something like that where, the catcher and the pitcher, they both have, an earpiece, and then the bench coach or the pitching coach, he yells what the sign is, and all of a sudden there's no more signs.
That could definitely work. But
yes, sponsored by Apple earbuds.
Yeah. But you also got to think some cats do like to call the game. So it would be kind of interesting to see Yadier Molina trying to call a game when you got to hear him talk, right? Or he could say it in a different language or something. Or they could just call it like how they call in, like you said, in the NFL, Omaha, and that could mean something, right? Something totally different. So that's not a bad idea. That's actually a really, really good idea where you can kind of use the technology, but just have it between the pitcher and the catcher and the coaches.
If they use that idea, me and Sheldon want 10%, yeah, each, because it's my show and he's here. So like, just
where's my cut? I'm the one who.
You came up with the
you got 80%.
Oh, 80%.
Oh, okay.
We want our 10%, like because we were here.
And you actually discussed.
That's open for negotiation another time. We'll discuss the equal division of the profits, but let's stay on the topic. But ultimately,
I know where you work, man.
Ultimately, it just seems that it's going to come down to, well, you should either ban it completely or make it accessible for everyone. I think that's at this point the only feasible solution, and it appears as though they're making the right move by just banning it.
This has been going on for a very long time, though, right? Since like Sheldon's years, like this has been going on before that. Like so surely it's gotten progressively. I want to say worse. It's got progressively more dynamic in how they're doing it. So but that's like any sport. That's like any sport, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Well, the New England Patriots were notorious for sign stealing and watching out what was going on. So
years.
So yeah. So like maybe it doesn't get thrown out the window, but maybe you're right. If they can come up with a solution where they've got something, surely something is better than nothing. And if everyone's using, because there are obviously more substances that are stickier than others, and like super glue on their hands and get the ball off. But like that's just where it's going, isn't it? So if they've all got a kind of level playing field, then there's no issue.
But here's the thing, Jay.
Still confused.
Here's the thing. Here's one last point that I want to make. Sorry to cut you off there, but
no, you're not.
There's already been complaints about the product of baseball being way too much advantage pitcher. Wouldn't you rather just completely cut all these external advantages out of the game and kind of remove, at least to some degree, the pitcher advantage and eliminate the three outcomes that kind of it's been occurring in baseball lately? Strikeout, home run, walk.
That works. But I tell you, when that only works is if both teams are hitting. Because we watched the other day, I didn't find the blowout 18-4 or whatever. I didn't find that enjoyable to watch. Not really. I'd rather.
I enjoyed the pitching games. I enjoyed the 2-1 game last night. I enjoy those games.
a game that is competitive. I don't like sport where there's one team way better than another team. Like for me, that doesn't work. So I get what you're saying, but that only works if both the teams are quite competitive with each other. Because when you've got and I say this fingers crossed, but a Jays versus Baltimore, if every game's a blowout, it's kind of it's not that enjoyable. Yeah, we won, but actually, when you look back at the game, was it really that much fun? Was it good to watch?
I'll see what. At this point, I'll take some blowouts. It's much better than losing these heartbreaks.
Take a look at how exciting the Dodgers and the Rays were in the World Series, and how people were kind of riveted to those games, and how there was always some kind of turn or some kind of. I mean,
yeah, but here's the thing though. That's exciting for us, the baseball purists. Like for us, like no matter how bad the product is, like 7:07, we're gonna be sitting in front of the TV watching for the next 4 hours. But for this new generation of fans, they want to see the Mike Trouts of the world. They want to see these big name players. And as great as the Rays were at doing everything right and seeing everything they touch turns to gold, every player they sign becomes a borderline all-star. No one wants to see a bunch of pitching changes in the World Series and Joey Wendell hitting fifth, dropping bunts. It's the product in itself for the casual baseball fan has gotten a lot worse. And I feel like that's what's wrong. The purists, the guys who will always be a fan of the game, they're still there. They're not going anywhere, but it's the casual fans that are kind of being turned off by all this.
That again, it goes back to the front office, the commissioner. Like you got to market the game, and there are so many marketable players right now. Market the players, man. I mean,
But
How
they're
many
not
on the-
marketing the players. They're pointing
No,
the
they're
finger
not.
and saying, "Look at you, dirty cheaters! Look what you
Yeah,
did."
yeah, they should be marketing Tatis and Guerrero Jr. and Trout and Soto and those guys, but their marketing department, man.
Sheldon, we will do a front office show at some point where we can dive deep and you can call out old Manfred and you can say what you want. Now's not the time, because two things. Somebody just mentioned Mike Trout.
Yep.
Do we really want to see him in the All-Star game when he's not really playing?
Well, is he healthy?
I don't think he'll be healthy by then.
But even still, like, do they have to change how this All-Star voting is done and the All-Star game? Like, it's great that Vladdy has got the most votes, and he probably will end up with the most votes because Steve's voting 5 times a day from 10 different accounts or whatever to make sure that happens. But like, for me, if it's an all-star game, surely it should be whoever's played the best baseball in April, May, June, 1 week in July. It shouldn't be just on
theoretically, yeah, but it's always been the fans. It's always the fans that's voted, and to take it away from the fans, they already got an issue with the fans as it is. To take away something else from them, that might be hard.
But do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think with Mike,
two-part answer. There's a two-part answer to this.
Listen, Zach, stop interrupting me when I'm giving an answer. God damn it!
Go ahead, Sheldon. I feel like I've cut you off too many times today. I owe it to you. Take the floor, man. I'll be ready, locked and loaded after you give your take.
Oh, you bum! I think with Mike Trout, it's a good example. He hasn't really played the entire season, and he's up at the top in the vote getting. But I think his character will step in and say, "No, I'm not going to do it." And I think the fans won't be upset with him. They'll understand. Now, if it was someone who's not so popular or not so well liked, it might be a different story. But let the fans vote the starting 9, and then let the baseball players themselves vote who they think should be in the All-Star game. I think that's how it should go. And I know they have I think they have a say in it. I think they have like a 50% say in it. Just let the players do it all themselves. Let them do the rest of the lineup. I think Mike Trout probably won't be in the All-Star game anyway. I mean, he's too banged up and too hurt. The Angels stepping in and saying nope. He could probably go there as a visitor and be near the guys, but I don't think he'll be playing. We might see Teoscar Hernandez be in the All-Star game.
We'll see about that. My response to this whole thing.
Anyway, we're running out of time. I don't want to hear what you've got to say.
Wow. Okay. Oh, wow. All right.
No, go ahead.
Go on, man. I'm joking. I just thought it'd be funny. Go on, Karen.
It's all good. I think that there's pros and cons to this, and obviously the biggest pro to this is you have fans. Fans who are into this and voting, and from someone who runs a fan page that's driven by fan interest, you have to have fan engagement as much as you can, and I think that's what Major League Baseball is doing with this fan vote. That's the whole point of it, because they are an entertainment product at the end of the day. But obviously the glaring issue is that you have a lot of players in certain geographical regions. Let's say, for example, if you guys remember back to the 2016, the final vote when Michael Saunders got in, George Springer was one of the guys who he was going up against. And George Springer, he's undoubtedly a better player than Michael Saunders is, but because Springer played in, an individual state, Texas, as opposed to Saunders, who played for an entire country, he had a huge advantage. So that's when, the bad part of it comes out. But I understand why they do it, and it's unfortunate that some of these players are going to get left off simply because they don't play in front of fan bases that get behind them as much as others do.
Yeah, I totally agree. That Michael Saunders one was kind of interesting to look at. Strange. I was just like, yeah, it was kind of strange. But that's why I feel that once the fans vote their starting 9, let the ball players do the rest. let the ball players vote who they feel should be in the All-Star game. And I think you'll see a little bit more of a balance that way. But we'll see.
Okay, so in about less than an hour, we play the final game in the series against the Yankees. A game that we have been saying we have to win. I've been saying that since last week. It's a game we have to win. They now see that all of the games seem like the games that we have to win. We just can't drop any more further behind. Luckily, Tampa, they nearly came back yesterday as well, didn't they? Tampa Bay, they're like 7-0 down. They managed to bring it back to 7-7. They're playing well. You can't argue with how well they're playing at the moment. But enough about them. Game we have to win. I don't see anything other than a Jays win tonight. I think that Vladdy's going to put on a show. I think he's so pissed about what happened yesterday. Looking forward though, Sheldon, you've already kind of touched on it. So we play Baltimore first, and then we play. You said, is it Miami after that?
And then Baltimore, then Seattle.
So, but how many games is that though? That's more. That's
11.
It's 11 games. So you reckon 9-2? Rob, what's your take? How do you think it goes? Maybe go with your heart rather than your head, because if we know by anything over the last week or so, it could end up being 5-5, which isn't good for anyone.
I do feel like they'll win more than they lose. For their sake, they have to. I think that this stretch right now, this next 11-game stretch, you got to rip off 10 of your next 13, 15 of your next 20. I said this in the group chat yesterday. 9-2 would be a phenomenal. That would kind of offset a lot of these bad losses. But to me, I just, with this bullpen right now, like I said, I think they're going to lose a couple of games that they probably shouldn't lose. So I'm probably going along more of the lines of 7-4, 8-3.
Okay. I honestly don't know. I like normally I'm quite quick to pull out some numbers, but
yeah,
I'm down. I'm deflated. I don't know where the next win comes from, apart from tonight. I'm quite confident that tonight we win, but judging by how the season's gone, we either play Baltimore. It's a 3-game series, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, I think they have a 4-game series or another 3.
No, we're off because we're off Monday.
Yeah.
2 games against the
3.
Marlins. 2 games against the Marlins, and then I think Baltimore comes to Buffalo, and then we go to
3.
No. Yeah, I think Baltimore comes to Buffalo, and then Seattle comes in right after for the weekend. I think that's how it goes. I can check right now, actually.
Yeah, I'm going to check too.
I'll talk while you're checking. But like I say, the worst thing is that we're kind of hoping that we win the series against Baltimore, hopefully sweeping them. But with the way things have gone, it wouldn't surprise me. Texas was the classic example where we end up losing the series that we should have won. And
they got 7 games against Baltimore this next 11 games.
It's a 4-game series with the Orioles. So the 4-game series extends towards next weekend, and then the following week, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we play Seattle.
Okay. So it's a huge 10 days, 11 days coming up, really, isn't it? Like
of course.
We can't afford, like I say, it'd be interesting to see if they do make a move. It'll be interesting to see if Springer does come back this weekend. Like Sheldon's not convinced, but you said, you didn't think so.
I kind of feel he's going to come back around Miami against the Miami series. I don't know. I just feel that way. I'm afraid that if they bring him back anytime sooner, that another injury will happen, because he's never really played 9 innings on the field, unless you're determined to make him the DH for the next little while.
Would you do that?
No.
I
saw what happened last time.
Yeah, I need him in center field, man. I mean, and I need Randall in right, and I need either Teoscar or Lourdes in left, and one of them as a DH.
But you say that you need Randall in right, but he's not offering anything offensively at the moment, and he's just swinging at everything.
You said he was.
That's the Randall Grichuk experience, man. That's how it goes. When he's on, he hits the ball as hard as anyone. He's a real contributor, and when he's off like he is now, it just seems that he can't even put a ball in play to save his life. That's been what he's been his whole career. We've just come to accept it.
yeah, we were all saying there was going to be a cold streak that was going to happen, and now it's happened. So,
okay, just because we're running out of time and I want to get this done, it's not going to get done tonight, but I've been looking into something about trying to do a Kings of Trivia live. Would it be something you guys would be interested in? Yeah, I've been looking into it and I think it could well be possible where we could actually do it live, either on YouTube or possibly on YouTube and on Insta at the same time. Do you think it's something that would work? And the question is do we find out who the real Kings of Trivia is and we go separate? We get 4 of you to play and it's 4 of you on your own rather than teams.
So basically a free-for-all. Oh, damn.
Well, if Sheldon doesn't have access to, some external electronic devices, and I like my chances at coming back and winning.
Oh, wow. This man just threw. Wow. This.
He's already signed up to my drone project.
I'm actually betting on Lewis to actually win the.
He was great, by the way. I had him on last week, and he was really good.
Really good.
I saw that. Yeah.
I'm saying he's the heavyweight champ right now, so it's going to be everybody else fighting for the second spot. I'm honest, man. Lewis is good, man. Lewis is good.
But I might have to call from a Starbucks because my Wi-Fi, I'm not sure it's going to hold up.
It's been very good today. I've been impressed with the Wi-Fi. Like it's been stable,
making strides.
There's been no dropouts or anything.
So this Kings of Trivia Heavyweight Championship, Intercontinental Championship bout that you're planning. So I mean, there's a whole bunch of us. I'm assuming you would have to do it in a couple of days. Like, test it out on.
I was thinking.
Test it on the one two.
So hear me out. So this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking All-Star Weekend. We have the semi-finals on maybe like a Friday and Saturday. So we could have we could try and get eight. We can try and get 8 people. We have 4 on the Friday, 4 on the Saturday, and then the two like leaders or first and second from both ones go through to the final on the Sunday. What are you thinking? We can do them before. We can do them before the games. Well, it's one game, but maybe before the home run derby, before the game on the Sunday. That's kind of where I'm thinking. It's just an idea that I'm floating out there. It's down to you guys to think, to see what you think, and if people would be interested, and would the fans be interested more to the point.
Well, I think the fans were the last time. So
I'm down, man.
Now it's up to you to actually handicap who's in the one tier and who's in the second tier. It's like the Premiership.
I kind of already know. If I'm
okay,
honest.
so it's like the Premiership, and then there's third division.
No, let's not start belittling people, Sheldon. There's just no need for that. But
I know I'm not winning, man. I am honestly telling you, I'm not going to win that thing. I know he's going to crush us all. He's going to come up with some kind of stat or some kind of answer that none of us would ever think about in our collective years of wisdom, and we're just going to say that's it. Dude's the heavyweight champ. Well,
I just thought it might be cool to do it live, like there and then, it might have a different feel about it, especially if the fans are getting in there. Obviously, we know that the fans would have to turn commenting off. Not for the answers, not through the whole thing, but we'll figure out some way of doing it. But that's what I'm looking into it. I think there's a way of doing it where we can have all the scores and everything up. I might have to get an assistant to come and help me, like behind the scenes, but it's something that I'm definitely looking at doing. And if we can't do it live, maybe we'll still do it over that weekend anyway. Just try and record it early and make sure that it's up by the evening.
Let's do it, man. Time and place. That's all I need.
Guys,
can we place a wager on who's going to answer and who will get something right?
You mean who doesn't get anything right? Isn't that where you were going?
I'm not even going to. I picked Hunter enough. I feel sorry for her now. Oh. And she does my scheduling for the Blue Jay Center, so I can't complain. So
every week on Thursday, Ann sends a schedule, and you're like, "Oh, give me these dates, Ann. Thank you." And now look what's going on. Turning the tables. Come on, man.
Hey, she gives me my days, man. I can't complain. She doesn't give me every single Yankee game, but
Shout out to Ann though, big help.
Yeah, she's totally awesome. She's totally awesome. You should actually have like a Queens of Trivia and have Brian and go at it.
Dude, I tried to get them on. I think after the disaster of the Kings of Trivia from before, I don't think we'll ever see them on here again.
That's because a whole bunch of guys were there. If the guys were gone, and boom, I think you would have something.
She held her own.
You should get them on like you get like us on individually, like Luis or
I have tried. I have tried with the girls. I will continue. Well, guys, we've run out of time. We have run out of time. Game's on very, very soon. I want to try and get this edited. Always massive thanks to Sheldon and Rob, both from Blue Jay Center. Boys, where can we find you over the next few days?
You said it right there, at Blue Jay Center. You know, it's only one place. We only have one official account, some backups, but that's where we're posting. We'll have lives after every single game. Come join us to check out our depressing reactions after another heartbreaker. Hopefully there's not one tonight. But yeah, find us there, Blue Jay Center.
Blue Jay Center. That's where I'm at, man. These guys are awesome and having a lot of fun with them. So check us out there.
Don't forget, guys, make sure you head over to YouTube. If you consume your podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere else, make sure you hit like, share, subscribe, follow, all that kind of shizzle. And we'll be back for another edition of Jay's Talk with Jay very, very soon. For now, go Jays.